I didn't know this, of course, at the time. I expected that there would have been background checks. He's allowing minors to be alone with, criminals at his restaurant, closing them. I had to call Woody the night that the assault happened because I didn't know the gentleman's name. Bianca didn't know the gentleman's name. And Woody told me at that time what the gentleman's name was and that he didn't know much about the individual because he ran the front of the house and his brother Darren ran the back of the house.
Hello, everyone. Casey Whalen here in downtown Coeur d'Alene reporting for the Inland NW Report, Readout News, and the Idaho Tribune. I'm here today with some two brave women. They're here to bring forward a story about local city councilmen and an establishment that they own. So thank you for joining us today. Christine, why don't you tell people the story in your own words and start from the beginning?
Okay. Yes. So in 2021, my daughter, Bianca, was looking to start her first job as a teenager. We picked a family-friendly restaurant. Rustlers Roost had been our family favorite for a long time. Bianca loves horses and just the rural atmosphere. And we knew it was ran by a councilman, and we just respected their values, or what we thought were their values. We went in there for breakfast one day, and we talked to Woody McEvers, and he offered Bianca a job after she filled out an application. We thought that this would be a safe place. We're really protective of our daughter. She has autism, and so we wanted to make sure that she worked at a place that would be safe, would be family-oriented, and would be open during the day only. And we thought that box was checked by Rustlers Roost.
What time? When did that happen? When was
So she got a job in April of 2021.
Okay. And then April 2021, and then tell us a little bit about what happened after you started working there, Bianca or Christine, whoever would like to chime in on it.
So Bianca just continued working weekends, was a very dedicated employee. She worked with, people of all ages. She was called a closer at the end of the shift. On the weekends, she would do the cleanup, and her dad or I would drive her to and from because Bianca wasn't yet driving. She started this job when she was 16, and we would drive her back and forth to work. And I'd always feel a little nervous that she was alone, closing the store with usually one or two gentlemen. Usually Darren McEvers is the owner of the back, and a cook, and usually her, who would close up the store from like 2 to 3 after the patrons had left. So Bianca was going through, her finished her sophomore year, went into her 11th grade year, and she was excited. She got a car. And we let her drive to work for the first time on the 22nd of January, 2022.
And I guess let's talk a little bit about Dan Edgington.
Yeah,
Did I say his name?
Daniel Edgington. I believe he would go by Danny. Bianca can tell about her little experiences working with Daniel. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I worked there, and he would always look at me, and I wasn't sure if he was just being joking or what his intentions were. But on January 22nd, I believe, of 2022, after I finished closing my work, and then I went to a store next to Rustlers Roost. And
Maverick?
Yes, Maverick. And I went to go get a snack after work, and then he was waiting and watching me until I came out of the store, and he did a whole bunch of stuff that he shouldn't have done. And after all that happened, I just got in my car and just drove to my house, and then I completely broke down and called the cops and everything. And after that, Woody McEvers still employed this man, Daniel Edgington, and after I had to call him and get more information from him per the police, and his intentions weren't good, and
so I can
and
add
you were
some
16
details.
at the time also,
Yeah,
just to add.
16.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. I can add some details because it's probably a little nerve-wracking for Bianca to talk about. So, yes, on the 22nd of January, 2022, Bianca drove. I knew something was wrong when she got home. She was banging on the door. Normally she comes in through the garage. I approached her. She was just white-lipped. Her eyes were big and dilated, and it just, as a mother, it just killed me. Daniel Edgington is a 45-year-old career criminal employed by Woody. I didn't know this, of course, at the time. I expected that there would have been background checks. He's allowing minors to be alone with, criminals at his restaurant, closing them. I had to call Woody the night that the assault happened because I didn't know the gentleman's name. Bianca didn't know the gentleman's name. And Woody told me at that time what the gentleman's name was and that he didn't know much about the individual because he ran the front of the house and his brother Darren ran the back of the house. Well, that's a lie. I found out the truth. I found out some information about Daniel Edgington that ties Woody and Daniel back to 2006, where Woody was subpoenaed on a grand theft auto for Daniel Edgington, as well as Woody McEvers' wife, Sharon. And that case was ultimately dismissed against Mr. Edgington. However, Mr. Edgington is, like I said, a career criminal. He has robbery, another injury to a child charge, domestic battery charges, multiple drug charges, and again, this dropped charge of grand theft auto. So after I got his information, of course, we filed the police report, did all of that. I had called Woody about 2 days later to ask what was going on with Mr. Edgington. At that time, we hadn't decided if Bianca was going to continue employment there. She would have had Mr. Edgington been terminated. She liked her job. This was her first job. This was super important to her. However, when we called on, I believe it was a Tuesday or Wednesday after that Sunday, at that time, Mr. McEvers said that he was embarrassed for himself, that this was embarrassing to him. He didn't really offer any remorse about what had happened or the grooming that had taken place. Bianca then elaborated to us that while she worked there, he would always say hello beautiful when she'd come into work and say she was so sweet. And then that day that she drove, Mr. Edgington came up behind her when she was at Rustlers Roost vacuuming and whispered in her ear, "Oh, I guess you're taking me home tonight." She doesn't know this, right? She has autism. She doesn't understand those social cues that would be putting her in danger. So that's where we're disappointed in Woody McEvers, that he continued to employ this felon and this career criminal after he was found guilty. Charges of sexual battery were pled down, and he pled guilty to the plea agreement of felony injury to a child.
Because otherwise, he would have been facing a couple of misdemeanors. Is that correct?
Well, they had originally charged him with sexual battery, and that, in order to, what the prosecutor told us is that would have been a felony charge, sexual battery against a minor. But she felt that if it had gone to trial, that it might have gotten prosecuted or convicted with minor
as misdemeanors instead of facing a felony. So he pled guilty to the felony charge
instead of risking getting convicted of a felony sexual crime.
So he's not on any sexual offender list because it wasn't. So the nature of the crime was injury to a child.
Yes.
And then so I believe that charge was somewhere in February. I saw yesterday, 2022. Do you remember the date?
Yeah, I believe that he was officially charged on February 16th, 2022, which was a couple weeks after. Of course, like Bianca mentioned, she had to call this individual, which she wouldn't have had his phone number, except he called her repeatedly after the assault. Her phone number was published publicly on the board for all employees to see. That didn't protect her privacy either, allowed a perpetrator to contact my minor child. Again,
after he did it, he contacted her, right?
Repeatedly, yes. And that's how she got his phone number. So the police had asked us to basically do a phone call to Mr. Edgington to prove his intent, and based on the state law, the battery charge, you have to prove their intent, not just the act. However, the act was caught on the Maverick video camera, fully in detail. Unfortunately, my husband and I did watch that video back with the police. Just devastating, sad.
Okay, and so lastly, I guess, as far as this is concerned, it sounds like a waitress told me this morning that he kept this individual on, Dan Edgington, for over a year after he was charged with this.
Yes, that is my
And
understanding.
I did reach out to him for a comment. I haven't heard anything yet. Is Dan Edgington still working here, do you know?
No.
Okay.
It's been probably a year.
A year or so?
Over a year.
Okay. Thanks, just curious. So do you have any last comments to the public, and what's your message to Woody McEvers?
My message to Woody McEvers would be shame on you for employing career criminals and feeling embarrassed. You should have felt shame, and you should have immediately taken action to protect our community and protect our children. Instead, you rewarded a criminal, and my daughter was a victim because of you.
Did you want to say anything, Bianca?
Yeah, I do. And I'm disappointed in him and everything that also happened, because he, again, kept this man employed, and he should not be in office as to, because he didn't protect me, and he's not going to be able to protect everybody else. He doesn't have justice, morals, or anything like that. He doesn't know any of that. And I don't want this person, Woody McEvers, to be representing our community because he doesn't protect me, because he can't protect anybody else.
All right, ladies, thank you for your courage. Do you know Dan Edgington at all?
I know who that is. Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. That's kind of what I'm doing a story on right now.
Why?
Why? Well, injury to a child, right? You heard about that, didn't you?
Vaguely. I don't know the story.
Oh, okay.